Ladies, listen to me carefully. You are not sitting here today by accident. Some of y'all came in this room with heavy hearts. You've been crying behind closed doors, questioning yourself, wondering why he pulled away. Why the man you gave your all to isn't seeing your worth. And I'm about to tell you something that will change your life if you let it. Stop blocking. Stop begging. Stop chasing. I know you're mad. I know you want to block his number. Delete the pictures. Act like you never met him. And I know you're tempted to beg. Send that long paragraph text, trying to make him understand your heart. But let me ask you, has any of that ever worked? Blocking him doesn't heal you. Begging doesn't bring respect. And chasing only tells a man one thing: you'll accept less than you deserve. Silence is your weapon, ladies. I need you to really lean in, because what I'm about to tell you could change everything for you. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not giving up. Silence is your weapon, and when you learn how to use it, you will command a power that no man can ignore. When a man hurts you, when he starts pulling away, when he gets distant, the natural instinct for so many women is to speak up, to demand answers, to send those long messages, pouring your heart out, hoping he'll finally understand your pain. You think, if I can just make him see how much I love him, if I can just explain how I feel, he'll change. But the truth is, every time you do that, you give away your power. He knows you're still there. He knows you're still invested. He knows you're waiting on him, and so he has no urgency to change a thing. Silence shifts the entire dynamic. It forces him to feel your absence. Think about it. When you walk into a room where music is blasting, you can hardly hear your own thoughts. But the moment someone turns that music off, suddenly the quiet feels deafening. That's what silence does to a man who's been used to your voice, your presence, your energy. When you go silent, he starts to notice the emptiness where you used to be. I've seen women ruin their leverage by over-talking. He doesn't call, so you call. He doesn't text, so you send 3. You're constantly filling the space he's left open, and all you're doing is teaching him he can put in 0 effort. And you'll still be there. But the woman who goes silent, she flips the entire script. Suddenly, he's not sure what you're thinking. He wonders if you've moved on. He questions if he's lost you for good. Now, don't confuse silence with passive aggressiveness. This isn't about ignoring him to manipulate him. This is about pulling back your energy and giving yourself space to think clearly. It's about no longer chasing, explaining, or proving your worth to someone who isn't valuing it. Silence is a declaration that says, I am no longer participating in anything that costs me my peace. Ladies, I need you to hear this, because some of you have been talking yourself hoarse, trying to get a man to see your value. You've begged, pleaded, and explained, and none of it. So now, you're going to do the one thing that will shake him to his core. You're going to go quiet. You're going to stop initiating conversations. You're going to stop showing up where you're not invited. You're going to stop over sharing on social media to get his attention. You're going to disappear from the emotional space he's been taken for granted. Silence doesn't mean you're just sitting around waiting on him either. No, while you're silent, you're focusing on you. You're healing. You're working on your goals. You're living your life. That's the secret. Because the moment you pull back and start truly investing in yourself, your entire energy changes. You're no longer anxious and desperate for his validation. You're calm. You're centered. And that's when he starts to feel the difference. And let me tell you, a man can feel the difference. When you've been giving him constant access to your heart and suddenly you stop, It's like cutting off his oxygen supply. He'll feel it even if he doesn't admit it. He might start sending those, "Hey stranger," texts. He might watch your stories online just to see what you're up to. He might call just to check in. That's not an accident. That's your silence working for you. But here's where your strength comes in. You don't break that silence just because he suddenly notices your absence. You don't run back the first time he calls. You stay grounded. You keep focusing on you. Because silence isn't just about getting his attention, it's about reclaiming your own. It's about stepping back long enough to realize you don't need to beg anyone to love you the way you deserve. Some of you have been so afraid that if you go silent, he'll forget about you. But I promise you the exact opposite will happen. Silence makes you unforgettable. It makes him think about you in a way constant chasing never could. It's like leaving a beautiful fragrance behind in a room. You may be gone, but your presence lingers. So I'm telling you today, stop explaining. Stop begging. Stop filling the silence with words he's not even listening to. Pull back. Breathe. Let him feel the weight of losing your presence. Because silence is not weakness. Silence is strength. Silence is your weapon. And when you master it, you will no longer have to chase a thing. You'll watch everything that's meant for you come straight to you. Focus on healing, not revenge, ladies. I know you're hurting. I know your heart feels like it's been ripped out of your chest. And when that kind of pain hits, the first thing you want to do is lash out. You want him to feel what you're feeling. You want him to regret everything he did to you. You want him to see you winning so he can sit there and realize he lost the best thing that ever happened to him. That's natural. But I'm here to tell you something real. Revenge is a trap. Revenge keeps you tied to the same pain you're trying to escape. Every time you focus on making him jealous, every time you post something online just to get his attention, every time you purposely try to hurt him back, you're keeping him at the center of your world. You're still letting him control your moves. And that is exactly what we're trying to break free from. Healing is the real power. Healing is the only thing that will set you free. Because when you're healed, you're no longer defined by what he did to you. You're no longer waiting on his reaction to feel good about yourself. Healing isn't loud. It's not flashy. It doesn't need an audience. Healing is quiet, personal, and deeply transformative. Let me paint this picture for you. Two women go through the same heartbreak. One spends all her energy trying to prove to her ex that she's moved on. She's posting new selfies every day. She's forcing herself to date a man she doesn't even like just to make her ex jealous. And every time she hears he's seen her posts, she gets a little hit of satisfaction. But deep down, she's still broken. Her moves aren't about her own happiness, they're about him. The other woman chooses differently. She takes a step back. She unfollows him not because she's trying to punish him, but because she's protecting her peace. She starts journaling her feelings instead of texting them to him. She books a therapy session. She calls up her girlfriends and starts reconnecting with people who actually love her. She goes back to the gym, not for revenge, but because it makes her feel strong. She starts a project she's been putting off for years. And little by little, she starts smiling again. Not for show, but because she's finding herself again. Which woman do you think is really winning? Which woman do you think is harder to forget? Ladies, when you focus on healing, you stop leaking your energy everywhere. You stop chasing closure from someone who doesn't have the capacity to give it. You stop rehearsing the same painful memories in your head and start creating new ones. Healing puts the power back in your hands because You're no longer waiting for anyone else to validate you. I've seen so many women waste months, even years, trying to prove a point to a man who has already moved on. And here's the kicker. The second you stop trying to prove that point, that's when he notices you the most, because your energy shifts. When you're healed, you move differently. You're not posting online for validation. You're not blowing up his phone. You're not sitting around waiting for him to check on you. You're busy living. And trust me, a man can feel that shift even from miles away. Healing also helps you see the relationship for what it really was. When you're hurt, you're emotional, and emotions can cloud your judgment. You'll start blaming yourself for things you didn't do. You'll romanticize the good moments and forget the bad. But when you give yourself time and space to heal, the fog clears. You start to realize, wait a minute, I didn't deserve that. I gave my best, and it still wasn't enough because he wasn't ready or capable of giving me what I needed. And that realization sets you free. You can't heal and seek revenge at the same time. They live on two different frequencies. Revenge will keep you checking your phone for his reaction. Healing will have you forgetting you even cared what he thought. Revenge will make you bitter. Healing will make you better. Ladies, the real glow up isn't a new hairstyle or a new man. The real glow up is walking into a room radiating peace, joy, and confidence because you know exactly who you are. That kind of energy can't be faked. That kind of energy doesn't come from hurting him back. It comes from loving yourself enough to let go and focus on your own happiness. So today, I want you to make a choice. Stop plotting ways to make him regret losing you. Stop watching his every move. Stop trying to win the breakup. Turn all that energy inward. Work on your heart. Work on your mindset. Work on your goals. Because the moment you fully heal, you won't even care whether or not he regrets losing you. You'll be too busy living a life that makes you proud. That's the ultimate win. That's the moment you look in the mirror and say, I don't need revenge. I have peace. And peace is priceless. Rebuild your life piece by piece, ladies. I want you to hear me loud and clear. Heartbreak can knock you down, but it does not have to keep you there. When a man leaves, when he pulls away, when he breaks your heart, it's so easy to lose yourself in the wreckage. You wake up and realize your life has revolved around him for so long that now, without him, you don't even know where to begin. But I'm here to tell you, this is where your comeback starts. This is where you take back your power, brick by brick, piece by piece, and rebuild your life into something bigger and better than you ever imagined. Rebuilding doesn't happen overnight. It's not about waking up one day and suddenly feeling brand new. It's about small steps that add up. It's about creating a life so full and meaningful that your happiness doesn't depend on anyone else's presence or absence. You've been pouring all your time, energy, and love into someone else, and now it's time to pour that back into yourself. I've seen women lose themselves completely in relationships. They put their dreams on hold because he didn't support them. They stopped spending time with friends because they're always waiting on his call. They stopped taking care of their bodies, stop working on their goals, and forget who they were before them. But when the relationship ends, they're left staring at the pieces, thinking, who am I now? This is where you answer that question. You start with the basics. What makes you happy? What did you love to do before the relationship that you stopped doing? Did you love painting, traveling, writing, spending time with family, going to the gym? Start adding those things back into your routine. Don't wait until you feel like it. Don't wait until the pain is gone. Healing happens in motion. The more you start living again, the more the pain begins to loosen its grip. And listen, rebuilding your life isn't just about hobbies. It's about realigning with your purpose. Some of you have dreams you've been putting off for years because you didn't think you had the time, the money, or the support. But now, you've got time. You can create your own support system. Go back to school. Start that business you've been talking about. Apply for that job you thought you weren't qualified for. Set new goals and go after them like your life depends on it. Because your future does. I remember a woman who came to me after a painful breakup. She was devastated, felt like she couldn't go on. But instead of begging him to come back, she threw herself into her dream of opening a bakery. Every day she worked on it, even when it was hard. She saved her money, perfected her recipes, and after a year, she opened her doors. The same man who broke her heart walked in one day, shocked at what she'd built. And you know what? By then, she didn't even care. She had rebuilt a life so full that his absence no longer mattered. That's the power I want you to feel. When you rebuild your life piece by piece, something magical happens. You stop obsessing over him. You're not sitting around waiting for his text because you're too busy living. You're not stalking his social media because you're focused on your own growth. You're not wondering what he's doing because you're building something real for yourself. And don't underestimate the ripple effect this creates. When you rebuild, your confidence grows. You start to glow differently. People notice it, including him. Men notice when you no longer revolve your world around them. They notice when you have a life that is thriving without them. But here's the best part. By the time he notices, you won't even be waiting for his validation. Ladies, I know it's tempting to sit in the pain, to isolate yourself, to wait for him to realize your worth. But the truth is, sitting still won't heal move. You got to take action. Start small if you have to, but start. Clean your house. Go for a walk. Call an old friend. Sign up for that class. Do one thing every day that moves you forward. Those little things will add up. Piece by piece, you will build a life that is bigger than the heartbreak. Piece by piece, you will discover new strength in yourself. Piece by piece, you will realize that his leaving wasn't the end of your story. It was the start of a new chapter. And one day, you'll look back and be amazed at how far you've come, at how much you've accomplished, at how much more whole you feel. This is your time. Don't waste it waiting on someone who already showed you he couldn't love you the way you deserve. Rebuild your life, one brick at a time, and watch how your world transforms. Set your standards and don't move them, ladies. This right here is the step that separates the women who keep getting played from the women who are cherished and respected. If you don't hear another thing I say today, hear this. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow. Your standards set the tone for every relationship in your life. And when you move those standards just to keep someone, you send one loud and clear message. I don't believe I deserve better. And the second you do that, you give away your power. Standards are not just about what you want. They are about what you will no longer tolerate. And too many of you keep lowering the bar because you're afraid of losing him. He stops calling as often, so you start accepting breadcrumbs. He stops making plans, so you start overcompensating by planning everything. He disrespects your boundaries, and instead of walking away, you explain and explain and explain, hoping he'll get it next time. But every time you move the line, every time you compromise what you know you deserve, you train him to do less. I've seen it 100 times. A woman will start a relationship strong, full of confidence, full of clarity about what she wants. She'll say, I need communication, I need consistency, I need respect. But the moment he slips and gives her the bare minimum, she forgives, makes excuses, and hopes it will get better. And before she knows it, she's in a relationship where her needs aren't even on the table anymore. Listen to me, a man will do only what you allow. If he can cancel on you at the last minute, and you're still available next time he calls, he'll keep doing it. If he can raise his voice at you, and you stay, he'll keep doing it. If he can disappear for days and walk back in with no explanation, he'll keep doing it. And it's not because he's evil. It's because you showed him there's no consequence. You've got to decide right now what your non-negotiables are. What are the absolute bare minimums for a man to have access to you? Respect, consistency, loyalty, effort. Write it down if you have to. And once you set that bar, don't move it. Don't shift it because you're scared he'll leave. If he leaves because you won't accept less than you deserve, you need to let him go. I know some of you are afraid. You're thinking, Steve, if I hold my standards high, I'll end up alone. But let me ask you this. Isn't it better to be alone than to be with someone who makes you feel unloved, unworthy, and unseen? Isn't it better to stand firm in your worth than to keep shrinking yourself to fit someone else's comfort level? I remember a young woman who came up to me once and said, Steve, I was tired of being disappointed. So I decided I was going to write down exactly what I wanted in a relationship and refuse to settle for anything less. She told me that when the next man came into her life, she told him straight, this is what I need. If you can't give it, that's fine, but I won't stay. She was terrified he'd leave. But you know what? He stepped up. Because a man who truly wants you will rise to meet your standards. And if he doesn't, that's your answer. Stop trying to change a man who has already shown you he won't meet your needs. Stop hoping your love will inspire him to grow up. You cannot build a healthy relationship on hope and potential. You need action. You need consistency. You need a man who is already showing up, not one you're begging to show up. When you set your standards and refuse to move them, something shifts inside of you. You start walking differently. You stop over-giving. You stop explaining yourself. You stop staying in places that are draining you. You begin to realize that your life, your time, your heart, they are precious, and not everyone gets access. And yes, holding that line will feel uncomfortable at first. You will lose some people. But the truth is, the only people you'll lose are the ones who were never willing to give you what you deserve anyway. And that's not a loss, ladies. That's a win. Because when you clear that space, you make room for the man who will meet you at your level, not drag you down to his. Your standards are not up for negotiation. They are your boundaries, your self-respect, your protection. And when you stand firm, the right man will see it as a challenge he's grateful to meet, not a burden he wants to escape. So from this day forward, you don't move that line. You don't lower the bar. You hold it high because you know your worth. And when you know your worth, you don't just change your love life. You change your entire life. Watch what happens to him when you pulls away, ladies. I need you to understand something about men that will blow your mind when you pull your energy away. When you stop chasing, when you stop being readily available, it shakes a man to his core. It rattles him because he's not used to it. He's used to you being there. He's used to your texts lighting up his phone. He's used to your voice calming him down after he's messed up. And when that constant supply suddenly stops, it hits him like a brick wall. At first, he might act like he doesn't care. He'll put on that mask. He'll scroll through social media, smiling for the world, trying to convince everyone, including himself, that he's unbothered. But behind closed doors, that silence you're holding on to will eat at him. Because deep down, men feel the absence of a good woman in ways they can't even explain. When you pull away, you create space. And space does something powerful. It makes a man think. Suddenly, he's replaying every interaction you had. He's wondering if he said something wrong. He's asking himself, is she moving on? Has someone else stepped in to take my place? That's the conversation happening in his head. And the truth is, most men don't realize how much they depend on a woman's presence until it's gone. Your love, your encouragement, your kindness, those things create a cushion for him. It makes his world softer, safer. When you take that away, he feels it like losing oxygen. He can act tough all he wants, but trust me, that emptiness is real. I've seen it countless times. A woman finally gets tired of begging for attention, so she stops. She stops initiating contact. She stops going out of her way to make plans. She stops dropping everything for him. At first, he thinks she'll be back. She always comes back. But days go by, weeks, and she's still silent. Now he's nervous. Now he's checking his phone more often. Now he's the one stalking her social media. Now he's replaying old photos, old text messages, wondering where he went wrong. And let me tell you, that's when he starts showing up. You'll get that, "Hey stranger," text out of nowhere. You'll see his name pop up on your phone at midnight with, "Just checking on you." He'll suddenly remember all the places you used to go together. He'll want to revisit the memories. Because your pulling away has forced him to face a reality he'd have to, that you might actually be gone for good. But here's where your power lies. You cannot break the silence just because he suddenly wakes up. You don't go running back the moment he throws crumbs your way. Because pulling away isn't about manipulating him. It's about healing yourself. It's about protecting your peace. It's about reminding him, and more importantly yourself, that you are not a woman who will tolerate being taken for granted. When a man sees that you're no longer revolving your life around him, it creates a shift. It forces him to ask himself if he's willing to lose you. And if he truly values you, he will step up. He will put in the effort. He will show consistency. But you won't know if he's capable of that unless you give him the space to prove it. And here's the beautiful part. When you pull away, you also start to see clearly. That space you create doesn't just make him think. You start to ask yourself, do I even want him back? Does he align with my standards? Does he really add value to my life? Or was I just holding on to potential? That clarity is priceless because it keeps you from running back to the same pain that broke you. Some men will step up when you pull away. Others won't. Some will get scared and disappear completely. But either way, you win. Because the ones who truly care will meet your energy, and the ones who don't will remove themselves. And that's a blessing, ladies. Men aren't wired to appreciate what's always chasing them. They respect what they have to work for. They value what has the strength to walk away. So when you pull away, don't do it halfway. Don't peek to see if he's chasing. Commit to it. Put all your energy back into yourself. You're healing your goals. And then watch what happens. Because when a good woman stops showing up, stops giving her heart away freely, stops accepting the bare minimum, the whole game changes. He'll either rise to the occasion, or you'll finally see that he was never the one. And either way, your life gets better. Stay grounded in your worth, ladies. Everything I've told you up to this point, silence, healing, rebooting your life, setting standards, pulling away. It all comes down to one core truth. You must stay grounded in your worth. Because if you don't know your value, you will accept anything. You will tolerate disrespect. You will settle for scraps of attention, thinking it's love. And that, my sisters, is how you keep ending up in the same cycle of pain. Your worth is not up for debate. It is not determined by how much a man loves you or how much attention he gives you. It is not defined by your relationship status. Your worth existed long before any man walked into your life, and it will still exist long after. But the problem is too many women forget this. They start looking to a man for validation, waiting for him to call them beautiful, waiting for him to choose them, waiting for him to prove they're enough. And when he doesn't, they start to believe the lie that they're not worthy of real love. I'm here to tell you today, you are already enough. You are not someone's option. You are not a backup plan. You are not a placeholder until he finds the one. You are the one. And until you start showing up in the world with that kind of confidence, you will keep attracting men who treat you like you're disposable. Staying grounded in your worth means you stop negotiating your boundaries just to keep someone. It means you stop accepting the bare minimum because you're scared of being alone. It means you know that walking away from a man who can't meet you where you are is not a loss. It's an act of self-respect. I've seen too many women tie their value to how hard they can fight for a man. They pour everything into him, thinking, if I just love him enough, if I just prove I'm loyal enough, he'll finally see my worth. But that's not how it works. Love is not earned by suffering. Love is not a prize you win by proving yourself. Real love meets you where you are. Real love recognizes your value without you having to audition for it. When you're grounded in your worth, your entire energy changes. You walk differently. You talk differently. You no longer chase. You no longer beg. You no longer overgive just to keep someone around. You know that the right man will add to your life, not drain it. You know that you are a blessing, and if a man can't see that, it's his loss. And let me be real with you, staying grounded in your worth isn't always easy. There will be moments when you're tempted to lower your standards just to have someone next to you. There will be nights when the loneliness creeps in and you start wondering if you made a mistake walking away. That's when you have to remind yourself of the pain you felt when you allowed less than you deserved. That's when you have to look in the mirror and speak life into yourself. I am valuable. I am worthy. I do not have to beg anyone to love me the right way. Because here's the truth, a woman who knows her worth is magnetic. She doesn't have to chase love. She attracts it by the way she carries herself. She attracts it by the way she refuses to settle. She attracts it by the way she is at peace with herself. Men notice that energy. They may not say it, but they feel it. And the right man will cherish it. But staying grounded in your worth is not about him. It's about you. It's about living a life that makes you proud, with or without a man by your side. It's about knowing that your happiness is your responsibility. It's about choosing yourself, even when it's hard, even when it means